One, two, three. Yes, we are live. Hi, Nandu. How are you?
I'm good. How are
I hope
you?
you're doing good. I'm
Good,
good.
good. I'm good.
It is such a joy. I don't know. Joy would not be the right word, but it's like it's really nice to see you like this, growing like this, and doing so well. You seriously, yes, by every single time I see any update about you, because I've been observing you from last so many years. We've been in touch via definitely different functions of art of living or some or the other ways. So it's like an inspiration also for me, and I feel so proud that you've been guided on this path so well. I'm very happy to have you on A Little Big Corner.
That's great. That's great, Namita. So often we meet for different occasions, like let's say maybe thrice Shivaratri, Navaratri, and all these are the occasions we meet. It's nice to get connected in this such COVID times because we are all locked up. So, like let's say our usual meetings won't happen. Maybe it's like 3 or 4 months we have gone to in Bangalore.
Yeah.
It's great to get connected on such a platform for such a great discussion. And I'm sorry, I mean, I'm happy that you initiated something like that. I mean, like a podcast or a video session. I've been seeing the three which you did earlier. So they were impressive, insightful. So
Thank you so much.
great, great,
Thank
great.
you so much. Thank you. And I'm also looking forward to this conversation right now. And Nandu, like I've known you from so many years, and I've known that you've studied your engineering, and during your engineering also you had started a company, I guess Monolith Web Services, or you were a part of that company as a chief operation officer, COO, if I'm not wrong. And then there was this Octopus Innovative Solutions. I'm not very good at remembering names, as I've told you earlier,
Yes, you're
but
right. You're
there
right.
were a series of companies that you founded. Zenstar, Octopus, then you were a part of I
Geo, yes,
guess,
yes, yes.
then Sec Labs, and
Yeah.
now Technisant. You are like the founder and and the CEO of Technisant. And it's been just 2.5 years, and you've done so much, like informing Malindo Air about their data breach, about credit cards in Malaysia and Singapore, and even those 93 million DND callers. So there are so many things that you've been doing. You have also been associated with the Kochi police for the cybersecurity work. I mean, this is just a phenomenal work that you've done. It's not just small things that you've achieved along the lines, but since 2008 or 9, you've been associated with coming up with entrepreneurial work that is pre-engineering times. It's like a amazing thing. I really am in awe right now. So, what actually motivated you to do all this? How did you
See,
come up with?
basically, I would say it was from films, what I started seeing in Kerala. So, how a village boy turning into a businessman and making massive money. So that was one of the biggest fascination initially. So I thought it's the most easiest way to make money. Otherwise, the next thing is going to underworld, becoming an underworld don. So this is what we do. So I mean, like in our movies, but. Interestingly, if I remember back into maybe in early 2000, maybe in 2000 itself, Dr. Alphonse Kannandanan, he was the former minister for India. Before that, he was, like a civil servant working in different ministerial offices. So he came to my school and he asked, how many of you want to become a doctor or how many of you want to become an engineer? There were hundreds of hands going up. And also, the last question was, how many of you want to become a businessman? And me and just two or three people would have showed their hands.
Hmm.
The fact is that the next day my teacher called to her staff room and she advised me, like, let's say, why you want to take this entrepreneurship? See, like, let's say you have to focus yourself, you have to work and try becoming a civil servant. Because I used to go for debates in school. Like, let's say I used to be a part of the debate club or like, let's say a quiz. So they felt that I could be a better advocate or like civil servant.
Okay.
But that was the culture. Maybe Kerala was more more against this entrepreneurial culture. But now, luckily, it's the time is changing, and my parents were totally against for an entrepreneurial culture. That's why they wanted me to become an engineer, working from Middle East company, because for Kerala, Middle East is everything. Because the moment we finish our education, people force us to go to, some region in, UAE, or like,
Yeah.
we are set for that. So that was one of the main factors. But I was very much fascinated, because I was very much fascinated by Steve Jobs.
Okay.
I used to read about him regularly. Uh, I had an encyclopedia, so I used to read about Apple computers. And I had a computer when I was maybe in '97 at my home. I had a small, like a HP computer. So I was very much fascinated with these things. So Steve Jobs was one of the personality that inspired me to make something of my own. But like the companies, maybe people who listen may believe that I have made so many companies. No, multiple were failures. Maybe that is something which I tell people. Like, let's say the moment you step into entrepreneurship, you started witnessing the ugly side of it. It's not so easy. Then you can easily advise someone saying that don't go into entrepreneurship. So work for someone, make some money, enjoy your life. So if people come to me, I really doubt their passion about entrepreneurship. So if it's money is the only motivation, I would say no, no, don't go for entrepreneurship. It's not a place where you will get money. That's sure.
Okay, talking about difficult things, I'm sure a lot of people actually they find it very difficult. They find it very challenging, and so a lot of people start something and then they just leave it, and then they midway they just leave their entrepreneurial energy. I mean journey. So I understand you must have also gone through a lot of challenges. So what were your challenges? Was it that?
See, the entire journey of an entrepreneur is just full of challenges. So I don't believe, like, if you even if you ask this question to Mukesh Ambani, he would be in a challenge to make his organization triple times of what he is now. So challenge is there. Like, let's say you cannot define entrepreneurship without challenge, but the starting phase, that's very bad. So we dream for big things, but nothing comes on our way. So that's there always. But one thing, like, let's say there is something. I was speaking to one of my mentor in IIT Mandi. It's a man. It's in Himachal. So I was speaking to one of my mentor there, who he was telling me, like, he mentors almost 100 startups every year. So he was telling me, see, like, let's say there is a maturity that is needed.
Yeah,
So entrepreneurial maturity, or like entrepreneurial quotient. That's how I
yeah,
would like to define it. He didn't define it like that. So that's the EQ for entrepreneurs. So see, people aim at big. So people come to entrepreneurship, start a business. Some become so successful in just maybe a week's time, a month's time, a year's time. But I believe the regular journey of an entrepreneur will be from 5 years to 10 years, starting an organization. So stable revenue, that is the major stage of an entrepreneur. So I don't want to define entrepreneurship as something that just alone makes money. I would say entrepreneurship is something that gives you life maximization. So that is what I was looking for. That maximization of my time, maximization of all the resources, happiness. So I can decide when I want to go for a movie. I don't want to wait for my boss to decide what time I should be going for a movie. So
yeah,
that's the priority. Like, let's say, the whenever I want to work, I can work. On the same time, whenever I want to just focus on something different, I can focus. So that is one freedom. So I would say it's not even maximization, freedom for multiple things. But if you want to really enjoy this, you need to have a proper goal. I would say small steps. I had enough of failure, so I would tell everyone, just don't stop mentioning your failures. So failures are something that can really help you to grow. If there is no failure, there is no success. A person who has not tasted failure cannot even know the taste of success, right? So similarly, I will tell people, like, let's say, come, tell about your failures, because the moment you start speaking about your failure, your fear disappears. So most of the youngsters I've seen, most of the youngsters who come to this entrepreneurial path, they are afraid of facing failures. But I would tell everyone, maybe in a talk recently, I was telling, I'm happy even if I fail now. I will go back. I may sit on a roadside. I would become a cobbler, make money, and make a business out of it. So I may fail multiple times, but it doesn't mean the entrepreneur in me is ending there. It's a continuous journey. It's a long process. Don't get defeated by these small failures what you face in life. It's a
yeah.
long journey. You cannot face success in just 10 years or 12 years.
Nice. So actually, you remind me of someone I was having a discussion with in a plane. Like I was going to Bangalore or something like that, and this guy, yeah, he was in Bombay for a VC meet, and he was
Hmm.
also saying the same thing. It was a good day today. And suddenly, we just had a conversation. What are you doing and all that? Because we were sitting on the adjacent seats, and he tells me, it was a good day. I said, what? You got a seat funding or what? He said, नहीं नहीं funding का नहीं था VC ka meet tha, but I met a lot of people who were like me, and they were discussing their problems and challenges, and I could easily relate to what I was also going through and what they were also going through. So it's really nice to know that you're actually asking people to tell their fears and challenges and whatever failures they've gone through. So can you just it's been a really long time that you've been on this journey. So, how long did it take you to be into this established, how do I put it, the established way of being, okay, ये entrepreneur hai, he has done this work, some remarkable work. How long did it take you?
See, Navita, see, I don't believe that term really suits me because I never believe I'm successful. Because the moment I believe I'm successful, I will stop working myself. So the moment an entrepreneur, see, they have seen this cycle everywhere. The moment entrepreneurs think they are making enough money, they are happy with their life. The sign of progress is ending there. So
Yeah.
establishment. So of course, see, I would say like let's say, see, there is a yardstick, right? So everyone has a yardstick. So I never believe in the social yardstick. So whatever keeps me happy, like let's say I have a yardstick to measure my success, and if I equate to that, that may be small goals. That may not be a, like let's say that may not be a massive goal or massive chunk of success that should come to me, but there will be small things that I would be personally happy of. So that's the where I keep this. So it's a long way journey. So. 2 years before I started applying for accelerator programs across India and abroad, the initial results were, like we were failing for most of the programs. Like let's say we applied for the Singapore-based accelerator program, we literally failed. Israeli-based accelerator program, we literally failed. But nothing just demotivated me. Just because what my decision after starting Technisanct was to go deeper into my failures and understand why did I fail. We put it on a board, really literally a drawing board. We identified why we failed for each of the like let's say this why we were failing on these accelerator programs. We came up with solutions for those failures. Like let's say we
Wow.
started measuring this. Okay, if
Yeah.
it's if we were unable to match the unique proposition of a product, what was it? Go back to your drawing board. We rewrite the entire thing, or we redraw the entire thing. Came again, did our own internal assessment because I have two more other partners in Technisanct, Dinson and Rakesh. So we used to do daily discussion. Like we used to work 24 hours over the night, sleep at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Even maybe now we will be sleeping at 1 o'clock, but that is the difference that we could see in the last 2 years. Earlier we had to sleep at 4 o'clock, so that was the difference. So understanding the reason of why you are not able to success or project yourself to someone, maybe it can be a customer or a client. So that itself was the biggest change. It took like let's say 5 to 6 years and to shut down two companies or three companies uh,
Mm.
for me to understand that this was my biggest failure. So now when I look back, if I was able to measure this at that point of time, maybe in 2014, I would have been successful at that point of time. Maybe at least I would have seen the signs of success. But I believe again, coming back to the point of entrepreneurial quotient, uh, I would not have been matured at that point of time to really know that or really struggle that. And also, I give some advice to youngsters who come: never weigh your success with others. So that would be a totally different equation. There can be multiple factors which enables a success. So just because Kunal Bal is successful, it doesn't mean that I should be successful at this age. Never gauge like that. Or if Bill Gates was successful in his 30th year or 40th year, never go and just equate your success to that. That is not success. You bring your yardstick, you measure yourself. That's what I tell everyone.
Nice. That's very nice. And who helped you in this entire journey? As in, your parents were
Uh,
supportive, or what was it that actually helped you a lot?
See, I cannot name a single person. There are many people who have helped me. Maybe say, naming just one or two people will be the biggest mistake I would do. Maybe if it's contextual, like let's say I could say the present day, maybe I would say, of course, my partners and investors in the cycle and my family, maybe my wife. So she was with me during all my failures. If she was not supporting me and my failures, or if she was also getting failed in supporting me, maybe I would not have even gone to this like let's say business anymore. I would have just shut my shop and just gone for some work. Maybe I would have joined as some programmer or like let's say developer in some firm 4 years or 5 years before. So there are many people. Many people means I cannot name someone. There are, maybe my if you call it as a success. I would have stepped on the spines of many people and just walked that to the top. Maybe I would have made thousands of people mad for becoming successful. Maybe I don't know whether that's the right way to do that, but again, I would say. Like let's say whoever inspired me in my life, of course, they all owe my success.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very humble. I see that.
Mm,
Bolo. You
No,
wanted to
I'm
say
just saying
something?
that's the fact because see, maybe I always believe. See, that's what Steve Jobs also saying that stay humble. So that's always a part of. His I've seen he's supposed to be the most ethical entrepreneur I have seen. Of course, I'm not going to the internal side of a thing. I mean, like let's say I'm not going to do a postmortem on his characters, but basically he used to do he used to practice what he was preaching, so I really love him.
And I see that your firm, Technisanct, if I'm not, I hope I'm
Correct.
pronouncing it right. Technisanct.
Correct.
So Technisanct is into a lot of things, right? It is litigations, intelligence, finding out cyber crimes, all this. There's so much that Technisan does. Can you please give us a brief about how you started with this company, what all happened, what does it offer, the whole thing about
Yeah,
the company?
yes. So basically, Technisanct is a cybersecurity and a big data firm. So I was fascinated with cybersecurity since last many years. There are many people whom I always refer to in cybersecurity. There are many friends who are, maybe the cybersecurity experts, maybe in the top 10 cybersecurity experts in India. My interactions with them really fascinated me. You cannot call me like I'm not a huge cybersecurity expert or professional, but I'm a pure cybersecurity entrepreneur. I know how to build cybersecurity products, which really need market traction. We started with a service vertical, the basic cybersecurity services. Then we thought of moving to a product because cybersecurity companies that have grown huge grew with the help of a back-end product. You need to have some kind of a product. Then we understood that there has been huge digital risk that organizations face. So we have been working with multiple organizations. So based on that, we combined our team, went to our drawing board again, just took the market. So we use we use a theory. It's the lean startup methodology. Eric Rice formulated this lean startup. It's called the lean stack. It's I maybe anyone who wants to start a new company should follow the lean methodology, where we measure, learn, and build. Making small baby steps, measuring that.
Hmm.
Improving on the product. So there is something called a lean stack where you just do multiple calculations and identify the value proposition of your product. So this was the methodology which used. This time we became a bit more scientific. Rather than not getting fascinated with your product, we become very critical about your product. We love our product, but we are not fascinated with it. We still believe our product is called Integrity. It's a SaaS-based monitor that tracks digital threats. So we never get fascinated by it, but we keep on improving it by just loving it. So that's what we are doing. So we have associated with as you rightly said, some enforcement agencies here in Cochin. We are a volunteer organization with Cyberdome. That's an initiative by the Kerala Police. So we are a parcel of the Kochi Cyberdome. We are associated with them. And also we have been working with multiple organizations, maybe like let's say 5 or 6 clients since last August, when still, I mean, that was the time where we launched our product. So now we have been like a part and parcel of the incubation program of IIT Mandi, that is called the Catalyst. And also we are a part of the incubation program for Data Security Council of India. It's a NASCOM initiative.
Wow.
And also it's an apex body by many cybersecurity organizations, professionals, government, MAITI, and all these organic bodies. And we are incubating with that. And also India Accelerator Program. It's a premium Indian accelerator program, which is backed by the Global Accelerator Network, the only one. We are being accelerated by them. So all these things happened in the post-COVID period. So maybe in my talks, I say that not post-COVID, the COVID period. The COVID period has really helped me to improve my productivity. So maybe because of that, I was selected for these programs.
So,
Yes.
we were talking about two things actually before going live. One thing was this about the cyber crimes that, you were talking about. There's so many. I was speaking to you about your association with the Kochi police, and then you spoke about the crimes and everything. So, if we go back to that discussion now, so before I go say that, I'll just give a brief to the viewers. Like I was speaking to Nandkumar about what are the kind of crimes that happen. So he was talking about the crimes related to the cyber securities, wherein women are abused more, right? And more
Yes.
than the men. And there are these crimes wherein there is this theft and a lot of other things that happen, which is absolutely horrible. But I think you can speak to our viewers right now about how you're associating with Kochi Police, and also, what are you doing with them there? A bit about that.
So basically, cybersecurity is a field with government agencies. It's a field which needs a lot of private-public partnership. I don't believe nowhere in the world a
Hmm.
cybersecurity agency like a cyber cell can exist alone, because it's we cannot call it as their limitation, because it's how it is. Like let's say it needs public organizations to come onto a platform and support them.
Yeah.
Private organizations to come on a platform and support these public systems, because they need to give some kind of intelligence, you need to give some kind of input support crime. So that's how these cyber agencies, especially in Kerala, they have a system called cyber now. It's a pure public private partnerships.
Hmm.
So there are cyber volunteers, there are organizations a part of it. So there are hundreds of volunteers who are working in entire Kerala state who are supporting such kind of an initiative, which helps police department to fight the crime. The moment they identify a cyber crime on online platform, they report it to the police department, ensure that this is not going out of the hand. So let it be a communal discussion that is happening, or let it be a like let's say a scam that is happening online, fake job offers, phishing websites. So these are the intelligence input that so organizations like ours, or like let's say youngsters who are working in the same field, provide to the government. So this has to go big. Unless we cannot fight the crime, because in most cases you will only come to know about a crime once it has gone to the peak. Like let's say if it's a phishing scam that happens online, maybe after 100 people buy this, I mean, like, or like, let's say 100 people log into that phishing portal and give their credit card, only you will know that you have accidentally exposed your credit card details or debit card details into your phishing
Yeah.
site. Instead of that, so like, let's say the duty of an organization is to identify this and just keep on reporting to government so that they can, issue alert notifications. So these are the fronts. So when it comes to the crime, as you said, women. So I have seen women withdrawing themselves from giving complaints to police, mentioning that it's very hard, or like it's not possible for, like let's say government, go to police station and file a complaint. No, it's actually not needed. You can just go. There is a portal called cybercrime.gov.in. Register your cyber complaint there. Give your local address. Give your phone number, OTP. If you want to report a crime anonymously, you can report it. Or if you want to give your identity and if you're the victim, just do it. I'm sure that you will get a response from police. Of course, we know that the law has its own limitations, but now our cops are very much aware about these kind of cyber terminologies. They are being trained regularly, and it's so easy they catch. These cyber criminals. Yesterday, Kerala police alone caught around 57 people from Kerala who were circulating child porn and all these things. So government is keeping a track. So it's very easy. Like you have to just report it. You don't have to fear anyone. They are aware about the cybersecurity issues.
Wow. I mean, and your organization is working towards it also. So nice. And the second thing which I was talking about, the movies part that we were discussing, that there's so many things that happen even on this issue. Like we were talking about the Jamatra movie on Netflix and all that. Another thing that I realized was you spoke about the government post COVID. Like post COVID, our honorable Prime Minister has come up with something called as Atmanirbhar Bharat, and there's so many things that are there in that. And you have recently gone up with Fiki and Oasis about inclusive entrepreneurship, if I'm not wrong, because it is one of the 5 I's of Prime Minister: infrastructure, innovation, inclusiveness, investments. So all these, so one of them is inclusion. So would you please speak something to our viewers about it?
Yeah, so it was not FICCI, it was CAA. CAA hosted this Horizons India
Okay.
meeting recently. Yes, inclusive entrepreneurship. So post-COVID, it's not even post-COVID, like we are still struggling out of it. So basically, startups with less capital and no huge investment are really struggling. And it's a recent survey says that around, let's say 30 to 40% of the startups have already cash without no cash. So they are really struggling. But one thing, like let's say there is no proper definition in Atmanirbhar Bharat about startups, but it is covering MSME sector, that is micro, small and
Yeah.
medium scale setup. And the startup India has been doing well. The startup system in India, even though it's not so organized, there are multiple opportunities, and there are a lot of Indian startups which are getting money to be not to be depressed with. Maybe in last 4 months, maybe when the COVID period too, edutech startups are making huge revenue, and like let's say they are getting huge funding. To be more specific, I don't believe in this theory of depending on government for all the help that has to come for an organization or an entrepreneurship to be built. I am totally against this subsidy kind of system because I believe it's something that has been destroying our entrepreneurship, because people keep on shifting their focus based on the subsidies. Maybe in one budget, if there is a subsidy, more subsidy in the textile sector, the one who is doing the business of let's say agriculture will shift to textile. He will just start his business. He will change his business diversification based on the subsidies that are introduced by government. So you don't have to always depend on governments to
Right.
really be stable in the business, because no, let's say I don't believe it's just because the government in US was positive, Apple or Microsoft really built out. They had proper solutions, they had proper business models, they had innovative products, and also the product had a market demand.
Right.
So that's why we still call noodles Maggie. So we never call, like noodles. We say we will cook Maggie, even if it's for a different brand. We say that we had
Yeah.
made Maggie at home. So this is how you make innovative products. So with India, coming back to India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, there are many schemes. Like let's say someone wants to make a startup. I don't believe all startups to be innovative. You can do business without innovation. There are people who are doing big business without no zero innovation. It's not necessary that you should be making products with AI, machine learning, all the big data, all the technology. No, you can build small business to big. So there are, there are government schemes like Mudra loan, which can be easily availed. You need to prove that you have some kind of a production or some kind of system which people could opt in. And inclusive entrepreneurship is something that is going to be big. The local products will come into high demand. I have been reading the news. If I remember, there is a Kerala-based startup called Jackfruit 365. They just make products with
Jackfruit.
jackfruit alone,
Yeah,
and they
I heard
import
that.
the jackfruit powder, which is they have come up with now recently there was a study which
Chips.
says that, yeah, not
Yeah.
just jackfruit chips, jackfruit powder is good for diabetes.
Acha?
So this is the latest research that was done, And this is something that is booming now. So these kind of local products, because see, the globalization concept is going to be more inclusive now. Like, let's say we are not going to depend on China for our resources now. A huge trade war is
Right.
going to happen. US is not going to depend on China. I mean, like, they all want to have independent markets because if I remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in his first talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat said that India had all the resources to become rich. India has all those things which could make us big, but it's the responsibility of an entrepreneur to take up that mission, build on it, build on the local resources, make money out of it. Because you need to bring out industries that could sustain with local resources, and government should support that. That is the support that should come from government and banks. So, may giving them, I mean, like, let's say, small scale loans. I
Yeah.
mean, like, if government can, why not government can become an investor? So, like, let's say, in small scale business, government forming a body, and they are investing as an angel investor and taking the massive money out of it. Like, let's say, if it's valuated for 10 times of what they have invested, and government is investing 1 lakh, and if it's valuated 10 times, it's 10 lakh, or some kind of a valuation, government making big money. So, there is a possibility that these kind of schemes can work in India, and I'm sure that India is going to grow. There is no doubt, because if we can step up to be the second largest PP kit producer within a short
Yeah.
span of time,
Within such a
yeah,
short span.
yeah. So I believe everything can step up. So it's our actually, maybe since we are a very, I mean, young country. Like, let's say we got freedom only in 1947 or 1950 after we became a republic. So even our business would have started much after that. We have a new clean, I mean, balance sheet. So somewhere there is an Indian nature of becoming a bit lazy. Maybe the moment that that thing goes off our, I mean, from that, of course it will come, and of course government has to stringent their policies and bring reforms in farming. So one good thing, this COVID has resulted in a situation where farming is becoming more popular. I know multiple of my friends wants to
Yeah.
invest money into farming. They are coming up with farms in different parts of Kerala, and Kerala government initiated something called a acquisition of farmlands. We can rent the I mean, our unused land to government. Government will do farming. So similarly, each states were coming with that. Punjab government issued a new policy which says that the government, I mean, there was a Punjab government policy where they had to sell the products to mandis, markets. The COVID period, they decided that there is no need of an intermediary for someone to sell the product. The farmer can directly sell it. So gradually there is a transformation, and farming tech-enabled farming, and food
Yeah.
processing is becoming so huge in India.
It's becoming huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge market if you see India itself. If you keep feeding the domestic demand in India, that itself is such a big market that we have. I
Yes.
was I look at the trade data in my, like, I'm into market intelligence, so I have to look into the trade data. And I was looking into the trade data, and I saw, just for some out of curiosity, I from the government sites, I found out some data. So imports of China. So I was seeing bamboo has been imported from China, about 46,000 tons of bamboo. I mean, what is it? We can grow it into the Northeast. Northeast is huge place wherein they grow these bamboos and bamboo products and so much. I understand there might be some farming implications that they have, but um, what I see is that if we are importing things like bamboo, small auto parts, I even remember, actually, I'm just taking this time, but I remember this. I was boarding this train in Bombay. It was a local train. And there was a small guy who comes and says, Didi le lo, Didi le lo. So I asked him, कहाँ से लिया है? ये आता है कहाँ से? तो बोलते चाइना का एजेंट आता है, वो हमको देके जाता है. So what are those? Those are those small bubble balls that you put it into the water, it becomes big. And he was selling it at, like, dirt cheap rates. So like 2 or 3 rupees mein, he's giving me so many balls. If you can see on the screen, this much number of balls, which can come into my hands. And that you put it into the water, वो बड़ा हो जाता है. So that if he's selling at this price, I was wondering उसको manufacturing cost कितना लग रहा होगा, and what What else is he selling that he's selling this also as a part of that?
One thing which we cannot deny, like let's say China has really stepped up in their production and their coordination, and that is something that's massive, maybe which we never wanted to do because we were always considering to be a consumer market. India always wanted to remain as a consumer market than becoming a manufacturer, and even we were selective in our manufacturing, like textiles, and
Right.
we never thought of becoming the biggest hub for pharmacy. We never thought of becoming the biggest hub for food processing because this land is so fertile. You could grow anything in this land. Instead of that, we found a way to procure this from China. One thing. Second thing, our policies. For a long time, India was not a stable political country. For a long time, there were inconsistencies in our political system.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking the politics of that. So the bureaucrats in that department, so bureaucrats who are working, were not shedding lights to the, beneficiaries of this service on these things. Even now, implementation is the biggest task in India. Like if government is announcing, let it be any government. I'm not speaking about a specific political side.
I
But
get that.
how do we know that this is properly implemented? So I never believe a prime minister or a chief minister to come down, step into everyone's house, as you see in some make a draft, make the chief secretary sign, give the documents. So this is only possible in movies.
Yeah.
There are rules, regulations. He has to follow by it. The prime minister of India should be the weakest
Exactly.
implementer. He has no power to implement things. Like
In
let's say if
fact,
it's home department, it's a home minister. If it's a defense department, it's the defense minister. Like let's say if it's a state policy, it's the chief minister and the chief cabinet. So these systems have really cost us a lot. Like let's say even if you have a visionary prime minister or like visionary chief minister, what is the surety that their undersecretary could not hold this well? This has been happening everywhere, but there is a new change. So many youngsters are coming, uh, and it will take time. You would see India into its glories in next 20-25 years.
that's
That's sure.
that's that is true. I mean, with this conversation just now that you had, it has actually answered some of the questions which I was going to ask you.
But still, if you have some points, you can ask.
No, I'll definitely ask you, Hasani. I'm not going to leave you just like that. But I was just saying that it has helped me. So, one thing that, I ask this to everybody who comes on the podcast, like from their field, how was it? You could share something. Maybe it is your entrepreneurship or your cybersecurity, some tips or things that people should keep in mind. I understand you've shared a lot of things, but
See, maybe I'm more
whichever.
an entrepreneur now. You cannot call me a cybersecurity expert to give some cybersecurity tips. So maybe I would say from the entrepreneurial point, we need more entrepreneurs. We need more job givers because India is really struggling in the jobs. Even though we were growing, we were not creating the jobs. I would say we need to create more jobs. For that, you need to come up with local industries, which enables the really needy ones to go to their own place and work. Like, let's say now Kerala, we have so many people from Assam or Bengal working in Kerala. So instead of that, they need to come up with local industries where they can work. Now, just because all these expats went to their own states, or like
Right.
let's say the migrant laborers went to their own states, Kerala started. I mean, like our laborers, our people who the local laborers started working. So similarly, you need to bring a business model based on that. Second, there is no shortcut to anything. You need to work. Like let's say, let it be entrepreneurship. You need to work really hard. There is no shortcut to that kind of success. But again, uh, I would say you need to be smart too. At this point of time, you need to use smart work. You need to use the power of technology. You need to use the power of tech-enabled platforms to build more out of it. And also use the government schemes. There are so many government schemes which are unused. I personally know that the funds get lapsed every year uh, because there are no takers. Because the mindset is that the moment we say government first, they said no, this is not for us. We are not going to get us. No, you need to go behind it. You need to really work hard. Just put applications. Just request. Like let's say tech-enabled startups. They have something called an innovation fund from the government of IT and telecom IT ministry. They have a electronic innovation fund Maybe if you Google, you will get more details. So it's if you have an innovative products, it's sure they will fund you. And there are many things, maybe government, non-government, like let's say there are portals like f6s.com. If you have a startup, just go register there. Identify the multiple accelerator programs that are working there globally and locally. There are a lot of funds. They fund into your startup. Just prove them that you have a proper business model. Even if you don't have, you are unable to prove your business models, there are so many boot camps that happen, startup boot camps. Just go for boot camps, learn how to pitch into front of entrepreneurs, governments, businesses, VCs. Just learn from them. Just use that. These are all free resources. Second thing, agriculture, because agriculture is one of the biggest industry in India, which is always ignored. The accelerator program which we are doing, like let's say Indian accelerator program, they recently launched an accelerator program to support agri startups. That's called AgriCool, AGRIKUL. So many innovations, AgriCool. So many innovations are coming. So many support systems are coming, but still we say that no one is supporting us. So that attitude should change. See, if you are an entrepreneur in your journey, you need to find all these things yourself. No one is going to come. Don't expect, like let's say Prime Minister Narendra Modi to come on a helicopter tomorrow morning in front of your house, give it on a platter, saying that you just eat it. No one is going to. No VC is going to come to your doorsteps and going to fund you. Even if you are the super innovative guy in this world, the world is least bothered. Just prove that this can be bought by someone in the market. Like let's say customers really need it. So when you go to VCs, they only ask one question: who is your, buyer? Can you sell this product? If this is proved, you have funds in your hand, and you have to knock. It's your need. Okay, someone has commented there is no voice.
No voice. Am I audible to you?
Can you hear now? Giri Shoza is commenting.
Yeah.
I can hear you. I think it's there. Maybe let me check.
Just a second. Let me just ask my parents if it is.
Yeah.
They can hear us.
Yeah, it's audible now. I just checked.
It's audible. Yeah.
So basically, don't complain. Just step out. So maybe even us, like let's say if you want to go to VCs, we just go out. We just meet people. We knock their doors. We sit with our client, make them happy, and that's how we run a business. So just don't tell that there are no opportunities. If India has no opportunity, no other country in the world got opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Because this is the best place for your opportunity, because it's such a super massive market. It's such a huge consumer market. You make the duplicates of Ola, Uber, or like let's say you make let's say multiple products like Amazon. I'm not a believer who says that you should only have one Amazon. I would say you should make hundreds of Amazons. Make a business model. Just build it. Make the first step. So I met a friend recently. So he was telling that I wanted to start a business, but no, I don't have any money. Did I start with money? No, I never had a single capital. My father was not Birla or Ambani to just pump money into my business. I just did some consultation work with an organization that rightly you said, Badoli. From my school days, I made money out of it. And then we started building out. So that's something an entrepreneur need to build. Every now we are building something, right?
Right. Yeah, this is what happens actually. A lot of people say, मेरे पास इतना सारा idea है, I don't know what to start. And so, this is also a major issue that keeps them behind. कैसे करेंगे, क्या करेंगे, like that, So I really, what do you say to such people who say, I have many ideas and I'm finding it difficult to select one of them?
So it's good. Let's say it's good to have many ideas. You don't know which idea will click. An entrepreneur should be full of ideas. So we call business is what? It's the validation of these ideas. Which idea can be best in the market? So that's much needed. But basically, I don't buy the thought of that. Let's say I have the best product in the world. It's not you who should say, it's the world or the customers who should say you are the best product. So Mark Zuckerberg never come to the world and said that I had the best social media app. The consumers used it. They said it's the best. Uber, Travis never came to a platform and said that it's this the best platform which you could have, but the world said that, the consumer said that. So similarly, I would say you can have ideas. So now the industry has totally changed. It's not in 2000 you are living. You are in the, you are going to an era where world is going to be run by startups. So most of the governments during this COVID period using innovative products from startups to counter the COVID, issue.
Yeah.
So there are many people, there are many free resources. You have to just Google them. If you are an Indian startup, just register in Startup India mission. You will get a Startup India registration. Even there are organizations which fund in the idea stage. So when we go to business accelerator programs in Singapore and Malaysia, they tell us that so don't come for this program because your idea, you're already making money. No, we don't
Yeah.
want such kind of ideas. Come with an idea. Who don't even have a product. We will fund for that. Can you imagine? Like 10 years before, I went with this concept. Like, let's say I have an idea. Can you fund this? They told that you come with the product. We will fund for it. Now, governments and organizations are saying you have an idea. You make idea. We want to involve. So the most of the so big entrepreneurs, like let's say Ratan Tata,
Yeah.
Nandan Nilekani, Chris Gopalakrishnan, they are all betting their money into startups. And some they fund into recently Anand Mahindra invested into a social media startup backed by blockchain. They have only 50,000 consumers using it.
Yes.
But why would have they got traction? So he was looking for an idea, a secure social media. Like let's say he wanted something in blockchain. So he found them. He understood the business model. He told me it's going to invest in that. That's how the market is working now. So we are in a COVID period, and we say that business is not happening. And in COVID period, 14 edutech startups in India got funded. The Byju's and the Vedantu, who are one of
Yeah.
the top edutech startups, they're soaring in their revenue. Like let's say they're their peak, of their revenue.
I was so happy to hear about Baiju's success story, and then he's got those funding now recently. So
Yes,
uska
yes.
it was so good as in, and initially it was all on the internet that I used to see about them. Now it is all full on TVs and hoardings everywhere. I see all this.
So I'm happy because one reason is that, like, let's say, so he bought a product when the product never had enough market. So there are experts which says that you need to have proper market to venture on a business. It's not needed.
Right.
See, he created a habit forming product. So I tell people to read a book called Hooked. There is a book called Hooked. Yes, Hooked.
Oh, I'll write it
So
down.
Neerail, yes. So read this book. It lets you know that there is something called habit forming products. You need to build out habit forming products. Byju is some kind of a habit forming product. So these
Right.
habit forming products are the one which frequently go into our phone and check, like Instagram. It's a habit forming product. And the Zoom app, which was supposed to be, it's soaring in its revenue. It's a COVID advantage. Like let's say those people knew to take advantage of the situation and they made it.
Yeah. So coming to Zoom, actually, there's this thing about Zoom that it is not safe and all that. But I mean,
There is a huge debate happening. So most of the security professionals in the world believe that Zoom is not secure. It's not because of the COVID season, but basically it was multiple times since 2017, 2016. There are multiple vulnerabilities that were identified. It's not just because of the COVID. For a time being, they never considered their security to be serious, and they were even being used by the 500 Fortune companies. Even government systems, even the US defense was using it for some time, and NASA was using it. But still, there were many loopholes, and they never took it seriously because, from a cybersecurity perspective, a more advanced
yeah,
company will take response. Like, let's say, if you send a vulnerability report, they should take an action within few days of its report delivery, but they have not been doing so. That would have been one reason why Zoom is still not considered. But I do believe they have recently acquired a platform called Keybase. That's an encrypted messenger program. So that would have they would be wanting to do that end-to-end encryption using Keybase backend. So that would be the reason. So I believe In future, of course, there can be reason, and there where it would be secure, and they have signed up with multiple. I mean, bug bounty programs where cybersecurity experts could come and comment on this.
Okay. So I have, so there's one more question here. It is absolutely true that we have to do something to create new jobs for which startups are to be encouraged. For this, what steps are to be taken? I think he's not asking
Uh,
from the government point of view. It is asking from the,
Yes, yes. So basically, awareness can be the only way. So what we do, we hire interns. So like let's say we hire a lot of interns regularly, train them to work with startups because startups are really recruiting a lot. But many people do not want to go with startups because it's a very unstable market. We don't know whether the startup will be successful or like let's say people really want to work with big names. That is one reason. Basically, there are jobs in India. I recently saw a survey which says that there are 90,000 cybersecurity professionals are in India itself, and also around 5,000 jobs are created regularly. But there are no enough, resources or skills. One thing we have to do, it's not just because jobs are not there; it's because skills are not there. Government should also focus on skill development. I mean, that means not just, like let's say just starting skill development centers would work, but proper skill development should happen, and also regulation in our informal economy. Though we have a huge informal economy, so that should be properly regulated, which will help us to convert more recordical jobs. So that's part of government, but still awareness and also youngsters should come up with an open mind to work with startups. So then I believe a bit of the problem is solved, but it's a long way journey.
oh, wow. Oh my God. This is like, I love this conversation. Just that there's so much of information that I have right now. I'm actually thinking of certain things that, in my back of mind, okay, ye bhi hum kar sakte hain. This is also can be done, which is happening in my mind right now. I wanted to ask you about you and I, like, we have this common link. It is Art of Living. So, how has Art of Living's wisdom, or how has Gurudev's teachings, helped you in this entire journey?
I did my Art Excel program in 2002. That's how I even came into the Art of Living Foundation. My mother did maybe 1 year before me. So basically, I was a volunteer since that day. Someone who grew from the Art Excel stage. So basically, one thing many people ask me, where do you get this confidence to build new business? Like let's say once a business failed, how do you start a new business? I would just say it's because of the techniques what I have learned from Art of Living, maybe Sudarshan Kriya, meditation techniques, and the wisdom. Maybe wisdom worked with me. So I have heard Gurudev saying that when a problem comes, you will believe that you will just sink in that, but after that, you understand nothing has changed. You remain untouched. So this is something that always motivates me. Second, he has said, like let's say, many people throw stone to you, but ensure that you make like step and walk over it. So I'm
Yeah.
a practitioner of that. Maybe that wisdom uh, everywhere, every day I remember that wisdom. Like let's say, for some moment I always think, like let's say, if I'm failing in something, uh, I also get dehydrated. I just go down. But in few fraction of a second, I understand my awareness really increase and I come back to my consciousness that I have to be the same. Otherwise, my entire team will go down. My partners will go down. My family will go down. I have to maintain that happiness momentum.
Yes.
Of course, the other part is very ugly. The business is so ugly, but I have to remain the same. I have to walk through these stones that have thrown onto me. So that is something maybe that has really helped me. And also, I owe my success to Gurudev and Art of Living Foundation, which gave me a huge platform with many people. And also, one big thing I would say, influence of some big people in the organization, Swami Satyojata ji, Prashant Nair ji. So that has really helped me. Maybe setting my basics in spirituality, and also that I maybe I'm not a believer to a different thought that you should have this, or like let's say for your success you should need it. But for me, this really worked. And
Right.
I have no shame in saying that, and I'm out of living volunteer. Even if I am
No,
listed
not
in
at all.
Forbes, I'd be proud to say that.
Yeah, even I. So yeah, this is what happens whenever people ask me, like you, when you said about all this. Whenever people ask me, also I also say the same thing. It gives me a kind of mental strength that I cannot think. And this is what even you've just spoken. There's so many things that I can actually relate to now. Whatever you're saying, this is right. Whatever you're saying is this is absolutely so right. Is there anything else that I'm actually missing that you wish, maybe some message from your side that you can use this platform to tell to people?
Yeah, maybe I will connect with spirituality because if you look back, two successful people. One was Steve Jobs. The other person was Mark Benioff of Salesforce. They
Benny.
both believe that Indian spirituality really contributed because always we have seen entrepreneurs losing their maturity at some point of time. When we were kids, we were very much fascinated by the growth of Vijay Mallya.
Yeah,
Vijay Mallya was an icon in Indian business circles, but he just fell down. But if he was holding to his spirituality, I would really believe he would have overcome all these kind of issues. So similarly, I believe some kind of a power for me it can be spirituality that's driving me. You should have a goal, like let's say, let it be small, big. Like if you want to become an entrepreneur, I believe you should have a proper goal, written goals. What do you want to achieve this year? So we asked in our interview crossing the organization, we asked, what do you want to achieve in next 5 years? Where do you see yourself? So you need to quantify what you want to make. If you want to make a BMW 7 Series, just quantify it. Just tell to the world that this is what I'm working for. That's not a shame. Just wear it.
right.
That this is for what I'm working with. That's all.
Wow. Wow. I love this conversation. This is like, it was really nice talking to you on so many things. I really feel that, this is just an incomplete conversation that if ever I have to end this now. So if you're okay, we can still continue. I have no issues. We
No,
still
let's not make people bored.
it's like 1 hour is
People
almost
bored.
done.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Anyway, it's a great initiative, Namita. So I hope more people will join these sessions and explore their, like passions and express their case studies. And what all I have spoken today, it's from my success or failures or experience, whatever you call it. Uh, so I am a person who believes in purely like practicing these things. So I don't believe in theoretical wisdom. I always want to do this. One short question: as an entrepreneur, it's always necessary to keep short term as well as long term goals with specific timelines as part of success. Yes, it's necessary. Like let's say, even if you are a grown entrepreneur, if you are working into a passionate industry, if you have a realistic passion, make measurable goals. You can have a long-term vision. Like let's say your company's vision can be making 1,000 crores, so that's not possible tomorrow. Make small steps which you could do that. Like let's say if you're selling pani puri, you are making a pani puri brand. Just make small goals. Like let's say finding the vendors, finding the right place. So these are the goals. You have to split it, write it on a board or write it on a book, draw it. Then you could see where have you lost, which was the timeline you missed. So basically, it's just because of our laziness or some kind of a procrastination. Two things. Procrastination is one thing which will not allow us to make out our goals. So I would say you need to make small goals.
wow. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Nandkumar. Nandu. I am so used to calling you Nandu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for sharing so many things. It's not, it was so candid. The conversation that I had just now with you, you just spoke from your heart, and it really means a lot to me that you took out time from your such a busy schedule. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. See you soon. Bye.
See you.